Imagine growing up in a house filled with fear every single day. Not fear from strangers, not fear from the outside world, but fear inside your own home. That's how the life of David Goggins began. Before he became known as one of the toughest men alive, David Goggins was just a scared child living in poverty, surrounded by violence, racism, and pain. His father was abusive and controlled the family through intimidation. As a young boy, Goggins constantly watched his mother suffer while he himself lived in fear almost every day. Those experiences deeply damaged him mentally. In school, he struggled badly. He had learning difficulties, low confidence, and constant anxiety. While other kids seemed normal and happy, Goggins felt weak, insecure, and broken inside. And this feeling followed him into adulthood. Years later, instead of becoming successful, he found himself stuck in a miserable life. He was overweight, unhealthy, depressed, and completely lost. At one point, he weighed nearly 300 pounds. He worked ordinary jobs, wasted time, and slowly became addicted to comfort and excuses. Like many people, he blamed life for his problems. He blamed his childhood. He blamed society. He blamed bad luck. But deep down, he knew the truth. He was running away from responsibility. Then, one night, everything changed. While watching a documentary about Navy SEAL training, he saw men pushing themselves beyond human limits. Sleep deprivation, endless pain, brutal physical challenges. Most people would see torture. But Goggins saw purpose. For the first time in years, something woke up inside him. He realized that if he continued living the same way, he would waste his entire life. That moment became the beginning of his transformation. But there was one huge problem. He wanted to become a Navy SEAL, while weighing almost 300 pounds. The military requirements were extremely strict, and physically, he was nowhere close to qualifying. Most people would have given up immediately, but not Goggins. Instead of making excuses, he decided to completely rebuild himself from the ground up. He started training every single day, running, working out, dieting, pushing himself harder and harder. The transformation was brutal. He suffered through exhaustion, hunger, pain, and self-doubt. There were days when his body begged him to stop. But every time he wanted to quit, he reminded himself that comfort had already destroyed years of his life. In only a few months, he lost nearly 100 pounds. Think about that for a second. A man who once felt mentally weak had just proven that discipline can completely change a human being. And this is where one of the most important lessons of the book begins. Goggins says that most people never come close to reaching their full potential because the human brain is designed to protect us from discomfort. The moment things become painful, difficult, or uncomfortable, the brain tells us to stop. According to him, when most people think they're done, they've actually only used about 40% of their true capability. He calls this the 40% rule. 40% less than 100%. This idea completely changed his life. Because once you understand that your mind quits before your body does, you stop trusting every excuse your brain creates. After losing the weight, Goggins finally entered Navy SEAL training, and that training became one of the hardest experiences of his life. One of the most feared parts of the process is called Hell Week. For several days, trainees are pushed beyond normal human limits. They sleep very little, stay in freezing water, run endlessly, and face constant physical and mental torture. Most people quit, and honestly, it's easy to understand why. The pain is unbearable, the exhaustion is overwhelming. Your body begins to break down. During this time, Goggins dealt with injuries, sickness, and unbelievable suffering. But what separated him from others was his mindset. Whenever his brain said, "You can't continue," he forced himself to keep moving. And eventually he realized something incredible. The human mind is far stronger than we think. The limits we believe in are often imaginary. This lesson became the foundation of his entire philosophy. After completing military training, most people would finally relax and enjoy success. But Goggins believed something dangerous happens when people become comfortable. Comfort weakens you. He says comfort is the reason many people never grow. The more comfortable life becomes, the weaker the mind gets. So instead of seeking an easy life, he intentionally searched for challenges. This led to another major concept in the book: callousing the mind. Just like hard work creates calluses on your hands, difficult experiences create mental toughness. Every painful workout, every difficult task, every moment of suffering builds a stronger mind. That's why Goggins constantly forced himself to do things he hated: long runs, extreme workouts, studying for hours, training in terrible conditions. He trained his mind to stay strong even when life became uncomfortable. And honestly, this lesson applies to everybody. Most people wait to feel motivated before taking action. But Goggins says motivation is unreliable. Some days you feel inspired. Other days you feel lazy. If you only work when motivation appears, you'll never become consistent. That's why discipline matters more than motivation. Discipline means doing what needs to be done even when you don't feel like doing it. That mindset helped Goggins achieve impossible things. But one of the most powerful parts of the book is something called the accountability mirror. Every morning, Goggins looked at himself in the mirror and forced himself to face reality. If he was lazy, he admitted it. If he was weak, he admitted it. If he failed, he admitted it. No excuses, no lies, no pretending. He would even place sticky notes on the mirror with painful truths written on them. Because according to him, growth only begins when you stop lying to yourself. And this is difficult because most people naturally avoid uncomfortable truths. We blame circumstances, we blame other people, we blame bad luck. But real improvement starts when you take full responsibility for your life. Another unforgettable concept in the book is something Goggins calls the cookie jar. Whenever he faced extreme pain or doubt, he mentally remembered all the difficult things he had already survived in the past. Past victories became proof of his strength. So when life became hard again, he reminded himself, if I survived that, I can survive this too. This technique helped him during some of the toughest endurance races in the world. And these races were absolutely insane. 100-mile ultramarathons, extreme endurance competitions, non-stop suffering for hours and hours. Sometimes his feet were literally breaking apart. Sometimes he had severe injuries. Sometimes his kidneys were failing. Yet he kept going. Now, this doesn't mean people should destroy their bodies recklessly. The deeper point is psychological. Goggins wanted to prove that humans are capable of far more than they believe. Most limits are mental before they become physical. One thing that makes this book different from ordinary motivational books is that Goggins does not present himself as perfect. He failed many times. He struggled with anger. He faced injuries. He experienced setbacks. He made mistakes. But instead of using failure as an excuse to quit, he used failure as fuel. According to him, failure is necessary. Failure teaches lessons. Failure builds resilience. Failure exposes weakness. And weakness can only improve once it's exposed. That's why Goggins believes suffering is not something to avoid completely. Pain can actually transform you. Think about the strongest people you know. Usually they became strong because life forced them through difficult experiences. Struggle creates resilience. By the end of the book, Goggins leaves readers with one final message. There is no finish line. Most people think success means reaching a point where life becomes easy forever. But Goggins believes growth never ends. You must continue improving, continue learning, continue challenging yourself. Because the moment you stop growing, you start becoming weaker. And honestly, that's why Can't Hurt Me became so popular around the world. It's not just a story about fitness. It's a story about transforming your mindset. It teaches that your past does not have to control your future. Your weaknesses do not have to define you, and your limits are often far smaller than you think. The book forces readers to ask themselves one uncomfortable question. How much potential am I leaving unused because I'm choosing comfort over growth? And maybe that's the biggest lesson of all. Real growth begins when excuses end, when you stop waiting for perfect conditions, when you stop depending on motivation, when you stop avoiding discomfort. Because according to David Goggins, greatness is hidden inside struggle, and until you challenge yourself, you may never discover how strong you truly are. Stay hard.